Well, hello, Sure Babe listeners. This is your host, Chrissy Powers. This is episode 34, y'all, and I am so excited to share with you about women and confidence. This topic I'm so passionate about. I am so passionate about empowering women and helping them find confidence in who they are and owning their stories without shame. So today we have two women on the podcast, Grbesic and Sandra DiTella, and they are going to share their two individual stories of how they've found confidence in themselves, outwardly, inwardly, everything. They're just being real and open and sharing their story. In this episode as well, I share my own story of confidence and how I've learned to embrace my anxiety and my issues with PTSD and trauma, and how I have found that I can integrate those things into my life, or integrate, I should say, therapy into my life, and not find any more shame in the struggles that I have. So I'm sharing that openly today in this episode. Hopefully when you dive into it, it will make a little bit more sense of how I have learned to own my story and find confidence truly in who I am. And I hope that it encourages you to do the same. So without further ado, I'm just going to get straight into this episode with these two beautiful women from Canada and talk a little bit about the event that I got to be a part of there. So thank you so much for being here, and let's get into the episode. Hello, Sure Babe listeners. Today is a special episode. I am so excited about this topic. We are talking about women's empowerment and where we find our confidence. And this all started with a very special event that I got to be a part of in Canada. Don't know if you guys saw last week on Instagram, I was in Canada for the first time in Toronto. It was a beautiful state, beautiful country. I was so excited to be in that city, and especially during the time where you guys were playing Raptors and Golden State Warriors of all things were playing, and the city was alive, and it was just amazing. So we're going to talk a little bit about the event that we were all part of, and I have two special guests today that were a part of this event as well, who shared their stories bravely. Grbesic and Sandra DiTella. They are two beautiful women, and we're going to get into who they are and what they do in a little bit, but I'm excited for you to hear their stories today. As women, we have all been on our own journeys, and we have all had to find our confidence in different ways. And we are excited today to share with Viviscal and Toppik. They are the two companies that hosted this beautiful event. And let me just tell you guys, I've never been a part of an event where a brand hosts an event that's based on their values. And these two brands really they just want to inspire women to own their stories and to feel confident in who they are. And having a table, I think there were 3 tables just filled with women that had the opportunity to share their stories and who they are and how they found confidence. And it gave me chills. It was just an amazing dinner to be a part of. So they, Eva and Sandra, are going to share their stories of how they've found confidence and how they've used these two products, Viviscal and Toppik. And if you don't know what they are, I just want to go over that real quickly, because you'll probably be wondering, what are these amazing products, these amazing hair care products? Viviscal Extra Strength is a clinically proven hair supplement to promote thicker, fuller looking hair, because who doesn't want that? It's supported by 9 clinical studies. Viviscal is scientifically formulated with the proprietary marine complex amino marc, which is clinically proven to nourish thinning hair from within, and it may reduce hair shedding. So we all know that after you have a baby, that's where I'm at. You have a decrease in those hormones and your hair starts falling out. So I am super excited to start taking that after I'm done nursing Ruby. And it's supposed to be taken twice daily so that you can see the results in about 3 to 6 months. They also have Viviscal Gorgeous Growth Densifying Range. Viviscal came out with this because it features a shampoo, conditioner, and elixir that works from the outside to make your hair look gorgeous, giving it instant volumizing boost. I use it right now and absolutely love it. It smells divine. The range is formulated with biotin, keratin, and zinc to promote healthier, thicker looking hair. The shampoo cleanses with a light, creamy lather and rinses out easily. It has a refreshing botanical scent that lasts, and I have to attest to that. My husband tells me every time I use it, he's like, "You smell amazing." The conditioner is weightless and moisturizes your hair. The elixir is lightweight and body boosting leave-in conditioner for thicker looking hair. Toppik, let me say that again. Toppik hair building fibers. This is another tool that I've been using in my hair to give my hair that boost in those areas that are thinning. It's an amazing topical product for instant results in the Toppik hair building fibers. The fibers work to hold the hair up that is thinning, so I highly recommend using that. It helps immediately. It helps with the appearance of fine and thin hair with natural colored keratin fibers that blend undetectably with existing hair strands. It's available in 9 shades. They're a great part of this line, and it covers extension tracks, and it disguises the scalp in tight updos or high ponytails. So I think everybody should know about that. And then the Toppik Hair Perfecting Toolkit is a 3-piece set designed to work with the fibers to create the appearance of thicker, fuller looking hair. So when these women share their stories about finding their confidence and using these products, now you know what they're talking about. So let's get into our stories real quick. I'm just going to briefly, you guys know my story a little bit, but I came to speak about my story and my struggle with anxiety. And it was just really empowering because I feel like once we bring our secrets sort of out into the light, the darkness has no power over it. And especially when we share our stories in front of other women, there's something so empowering about the encouragement that you get from them. And I think we all leave feeling a little bit more confident in ourselves because we're not struggling alone. So when I spoke at this dinner, I talked a little bit about how it took me 3 pregnancies and 3 postpartums to start truly loving myself. And when I say that, I mean, gosh, I would have to go back to just realizing that after I had Ruby, I was at this place of just feeling like tapped out, but also wanting to work on myself. And that meant on the outside and the inside. I was like, okay, I'm shutting the chapter on having babies. I now can take care of myself. It wasn't just about getting, my body back. It was about really, truly learning to love who I was. And incidentally, that journey started in a dark place for me. I've struggled with panic disorder since I was 18 years old. It came and it went, so it never really bothered me that much. But then with each child that I had, it just got significantly worse. So it became something what I knew I really had to go get help. I really had to take care of myself, or else I couldn't take care of my children. And I used the analogy at the dinner where I said, if you have nothing in you, you cannot pour out into your children. So that's why self-care, which I've talked about on this show so much, is very, very important, because as a mother, you cannot pour out what you do not have. And so if I can't teach my kids, to love themselves, if I can't love myself, I can't teach my kids to love themselves. So that's where it came out of this place of desperation, feeling like I don't really know who I am. I want to love myself, but I can't right now. And it all started after I had a huge panic attack at my son's school. I couldn't see him line up, and that was a huge trigger for me. I was waiting, I heard the bell ring, and I was waiting for him to line up, and all of a sudden he, wasn't there. And so my mind, and this is, there is a difference between just a little bit of anxiety and, all out panic. And that's how I knew, this reaction to this tiny little thing is above and beyond. It's just not appropriate. And so I was a basket case on the playground, and this mother came, and she was actually the substitute teacher for the day of my son's class. She happens to be a fellow, her son's in the class, so I see her all the time now, and I feel like such a connection because she was there for me. She held me and she said, "Okay, we're gonna find him. He's here," and she knew that I was panicking. And I just feel like at that moment, having another woman just really not judge me and really care for me meant so much to me. But I also knew, like, after that moment, I called my husband in the car and I was like, "Oh, geez, I really need to go get help." And so I found a therapist that specializes in trauma, and we got to work, basically. Got into that therapy session and figured, I know exactly where this trauma comes from. I know where this panic is stemming from. And I told her this specific event that I've shared before where someone, we couldn't find my oldest son, Waylon. He was 2 years old at the time. He had hid from me in a closet at a church that we were visiting, and everybody was looking for him. And in a really bad case of mistaken identity, someone thought they had seen him leave with a man. So this woman came running back screaming and crying, saying the children out front saw a man pick him up and take him. And in that moment, I lost my mind and the floor fell out beneath me and I was changed. Like physically, my biology changed in that moment as a person. But 5 minutes later, they found his little feet behind this closet door, and I can't even begin to describe the relief, but also I was still living in that fear of my son being kidnapped, because that had just never really occurred to me before that I could lose him. And so for 2 years after that, I lived like almost every day, like it was war, like I could lose my child at any second. And it began to wear on me, and it affected lots of areas of my life. So when I got into therapy, I said, this is exactly where I know this panic is coming from. And my therapist, like a really good therapist, dove deeper. And she said, no, I think that has a lot to do with it. And that's definitely a trauma. But I think it goes deeper. It goes back to even, your childhood. And so we've done a ton of work going back to childhood. And I realized that I had compared myself to other women since kindergarten, and that I had told myself, lies since kindergarten, lies that have always made me feel like I'm just not measuring up. I'm less than, I'm not good enough, and I don't feel like it's anybody's fault. I feel like it's just different messages sometimes that we get, and how we interpret them based on our personalities. So going, from kindergarten up through high school and college even, I've found my worth and my value as a woman through lots of different things, and dieting was one of them. And gosh, like at the dinner I mentioned, an eating disorder. I just briefly brushed over that, but I've talked about that here on Sure Babe a couple times, having an eating disorder in college, which actually led me to go get help, which led me to wanting to become a therapist. So I'm actually thankful for overcoming that, but so many women I know still struggle and haven't found recovery. And then it wasn't until meeting my husband and really discovering that I was lovable, and that I had, I didn't have to change myself in order to be loved. Then that felt, that was a huge thing in my life. And then in motherhood, I just felt like going, from the trauma of losing my first son for those 5 minutes and thinking he was kidnapped to just all the other little things that happen in motherhood. We say, like, have you guys seen that meme where it says, like, motherhood is the scariest hood of them all? And I'm like, that meme rings so true for me. But also at the dinner, I talked about trauma A and trauma Bs. And I believe I've shared that here before. But trauma A, and let me just break this down for you. Everybody has trauma. Trauma A is things that happen to you that should have never happened to you. Those are like car accidents and, maybe abuse or, something that's just really scary. And then trauma Bs are things that you didn't get maybe in childhood. So things that should have happened to you but didn't. And so we can all agree that we all have trauma. I realized my trauma was morphing into like a generalized anxiety, and I was needing to control everything. And that's, as a mother, was so hard. But it was so linked to my identity as like this person that wanted to please everyone, this person that just wanted to be good enough. It was like I was just trying so hard in all of the areas of my life to control everything. And it wasn't until recently going back to therapy and doing this really deep heart work and looking back on my childhood and basically my whole life that I realized I had to let go of the fear. And in order to let go, I had to find gratitude. And I really had to replace that fear with like gratitude for the things that I've had in my life. And I'm still very much on that journey, but I like being open about my story of anxiety because I feel like a lot of women struggle with this, and it does affect your confidence. It makes you feel like, gosh, there's something wrong with me, or I can't do this motherhood thing, or I can't, put myself out there in my job because of this or this. And what I hope my story will help others is to just destigmatize that you can do hard things, that you can overcome this, you can live with anxiety. You can actually have a better relationship with it. You don't have to fully get rid of it to do the things that you're meant to do. But there are so many tools and techniques in order to have a better life if you struggle with anxiety. So that is just part of my story. So thank you guys again for listening to that. And I now am super excited to have Sandra tell her story to you guys. Sandra is a Canadian blogger. She is the content creator for momsmakeupstash.com, as well as a cancer survivor. And you guys, her story is amazing, and I am so excited for you guys to hear her share it right now. So Sandra, welcome to Sure Babe. Sorry for that super long intro. I'm glad you're here, and I want you to tell everybody who you are and share what's on your heart today.
Thank you so much, Chrissy. It's a pleasure to be here today. So I work as a healthcare manager in Toronto, and I also run the beauty and lifestyle site momsmakeupstash.com, as Chrissy mentioned. I have two amazing kids. They're about 12 and 15, and I've been happily married for 16 years. And seemingly I have a perfect life. But about 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 3 thyroid cancer. And the disease was pretty far along when they finally found it. And it had progressed to my lymph nodes and to my throat. And, hearing the words "you have cancer" affects you in so many different ways, not just physically. I had so many emotions at the time. I was angry. I was scared. I suffered from the worst anxiety imaginable. And I had surgery, obviously, to remove 4 masses in my neck and a thyroidectomy, followed by radiation treatment. It was not an easy time. My kids were 6 and 9. But so much changed after that, and nothing was ever the same. And, some of those things are like, I used to be a size 4, and I was moderately active. And once my thyroid was removed and I became clinically hypothyroid, I had no energy. My weight ballooned. I gained 50 pounds, much of which I still haven't been able to shed. My skin changed. It became very dry, and it lost most of its pigment. My hair thinned out a lot. And when I first noticed that my hair, I was losing chunks of my hair in the shower, I was in complete and utter denial. For most women, hair is such an important part of our femininity. It's the one thing that jumpstarts our confidence and makes us feel so beautiful. And I can confidently say that Viviscal supplements were introduced to me at a time in my life when I needed them most. And they really helped my hair grow in fuller and thicker. And what I didn't know is that hair thinning could happen at any age and for a variety of different reasons. And for me, those reasons were really linked to my medical condition, to the surgery and radiation that I went through, and to just extreme stress over time. But reclaiming my confidence has definitely been a journey. I'm determined to be the best version of me that I can be, even if it means that I'm heavier and I'm on medication for life. And that's just who I am today.
Thank you so much for being brave and opening up about that. I know it's really hard to talk about those things that are, scary. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing that. What do you feel like was like the shift in your thinking when after, you go through this cancer? And I know it's probably like a super long journey to even, talk about in one episode, but what do you feel like was the shift? Was it the fact that you did you find a new identity? Because obviously things change when you look different. And I think a lot of women go through that on a very mild scale, like especially after you have a baby, like your body changes, and as we get older, our identity changes and things look different. How do you feel like for you? What was that experience like?
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like it's all about self-acceptance. And for me, it was just about realizing that, things weren't going to be the same and things were going to be different. And I had to just accept that and start a journey of like self-love and self-respect. And it's still happening every day, and it's not, an easy ride, but I looked in the mirror and I have to start to look at the things that I do enjoy looking at, instead of focusing on the things that, are changing. I mean, we're all aging. So it's not like we're going to get any more beautiful. I think our the changes that are happening, cancer or not, right?
Yeah.
That come with age.
I love that you said that, acceptance, because I feel like that's the first step in anything that you want to change is acceptance. Acceptance for, like for me, it was acceptance that I felt out of control with my body. Like I felt like I couldn't trust it. I felt like I didn't know when panic was going to strike. And I obviously didn't like that. But also with body image, since I, in the past, struggled with an eating disorder, the first step was, one, acceptance that I had a problem. And then two, acceptance was such a beautiful thing for me when I finally accepted that my body doesn't have to look a certain way. Like it doesn't have to look like someone else's. And it never will. It will always look the way that I'm supposed to look. And so when I could change accept that, I felt like I could change my definition of beauty and really start loving who I was and who I am. And like you said, it's a daily thing. So we're women. We have hormone shifts monthly, and sometimes there are going to be times that we are going to struggle more, but it's a daily journey and it's a daily acceptance.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let's talk to Eva. Eva, you are the Cityline Style Expert, which is the Canadian leading national lifestyle show, and a blogger from Falling in Style. Can you please share with the audience, because most of our listeners are from the US, and I was fascinated with your story and what you do. You are such a go-getter. I can already tell from hearing your story at the dinner. Can you explain to the listeners who you are, what you do, and then also share your story of confidence?
Well, first of all, following Sandra again, hard because she's so inspirational. And how do you always top that? Like, honestly. But to your viewers, so my name is Eva Grbesic. I am a mother of 4, and my children are 14, 13, 12, and 9. I'm married, and my husband's name is Ivan. So Ivan and Eva, we are like the cutest couple ever. I am 44 years old, wonderful. And for me, my whole journey started, I guess all of us as children. I always had big dreams. I was going to be in some type of business role, whether it be an executive or VP. Like I really had big goals for myself. And I set them as a woman that I could have it all. I could have kids. I could have my dream job. I could have my husband. Like there was nothing that I couldn't do. And so I moved to the big city of Toronto because I'm from Windsor, Ontario, which is across from Detroit, Michigan. So I moved to Toronto. I got a good job in market research. Working there for 5 years, promotions, everything's doing great. And then I get pregnant, which is fine. And then 6 months later, I'm pregnant again.
Wow.
Yeah. And I ended up having 4 kids in 5.5 years. And yes, I understand there's things called birth control, but what are you going to do? Things happen. Okay? Things just happen. And because I had 4 kids in such a short period of time, something had to give. And for me, what gave was my career. That was just where it was. My husband was, doing really wonderfully well, and I decided to stay home. And when I stayed home for that, I can't even remember, because honestly, that whole entire time period is a big blur. But when I stayed home, I lost a lot of myself. I became Ivan's wife, and I became Gabriela's mom, or Nicola's mom, or that woman, but I was no longer Eva. And it's hard when you had such a strong sense of self to lose who you were. And I'm the type of person, like, I'm actually quite introverted and shy. I like people to see me, and then I like to fade back. I like to talk, and then I like to be able to go back. But, on my terms, when you now don't even have that, when no one's looking at you and you feel like everyone's looking through you, it's difficult. And for me, there was a realization too, because of my kids, because we're always trying to, have strong girls and have boys who are partners with, as they grow up. If we as mothers are always putting ourselves last, and we're always putting our children and our husbands first, how are we going to raise strong daughters? Because what we're telling them is you should put yourself last. And then we're showing our sons, well, you should always be first. Because that's what we're doing on a daily basis if we're always putting ourselves last. And I thought to myself, that's not fair to my kids, but it's also not fair to me. Like, I need to be selfish. So I started taking time out for myself. I would get dressed up, even if I was only going to the grocery store, because damn, that grocer was going to look at me and say, wow, she's nice looking. Like, put on lipstick. I got dressed up, and I didn't get dressed up for anybody else but me. And I think that as women, you can like clothing, and you can like a red lipstick, and you can be intelligent, and you can like everything. Like, just because you're feminine doesn't mean that you're not smart.
I love that message.
And it was really important to me to just sort of reclaim that little bit of myself.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I started a blog, like a lot of us, I feel like a lot of us were doing that. And my blog was just about me dressing up and, what I was wearing, because I've always loved fashion. And a year later, I found myself working for a large shopping center, and they needed someone to go on TV because the Duchess Kate was pregnant with her first child, and they needed someone to do a fashion segment. Now, I had never done TV, and it was like a national morning show. It was a big deal. Like, everyone would see it. And my husband's like, Eva, are you sure? Why not? I'll just do TV. So I had like an hour of media training. And then the next morning, I wake up and I've slept in.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I have 4 kids. Do you think any one of them would have woken up early to wake me up? The entire family slept in.
Oh, my gosh.
So I remember getting out of bed, the sheer panic. And me going like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I couldn't even do my hair. Like, I literally just had to wash my body.
Yeah.
And run out the door. And I'm in the car almost in tears. And like, I can't actually say what I was saying because it's not appropriate. But I'm just going through this big panic, this big emotion. And what calmed me down was actually thinking about my mom, because my mother came to Canada at 17. From Croatia. And I could not imagine coming to a different country, let alone continent, where you don't know the language, where you're from a small village, and just navigating that new life. So I sort of like thought about my mom, and that's tough. Like, that's crazy. Me at 37, 38, going to be on TV talking about pregnancy, like, that's pretty fun. So I was like, suck it up. Don't cry, because in case your face is all blotchy, you're going to look horrible on TV. And just, like, pretend everything's okay. Like, fake it till you make it. Like, yeah. By the grace of God, I got there just as the other PR people were getting on. Did my first TV segment and loved it.
Oh, wow.
Everything turned out okay. And I think it was because I sort of just put everything into perspective of the big picture. Yeah, like, when I was like, I thought everyone was going to see this. I was going to fall flat on my face. Everyone was going to make fun of me. All of my fears, how horrible I thought I was, or how unworthy I thought I was going to be on national television for everyone to see. And I said, forget that noise. Like, I'm worth it. So boom, I just did it. It went really well. And somehow I found myself on TV every single month. And then I landed my dream job on Cityline. And I remember as a stay-at-home mom, I would watch the fashion segments. And I really wanted to be there. And there's no way that a 38-year-old mother of 4 with no fashion experience would have ever been on TV telling other women what to wear.
Wow. So how did that happen for you? I mean, there's a couple things that you said that I really want to touch on, but like, then how did that happen for you? So that was a limiting belief, obviously. Like, oh, how will I, a mom of 4 at 37, get on TV? How did that happen because of your blog and because you put yourself out there?
Yeah, because I'm a blog, I put myself out there, and I was trying to, work on different television shows, and Cityline was looking for a stylist who was a mother. And someone gave them my name, and I just said yes.
That's amazing. I love that story. Especially what I love that you said was you had this like negative thought of like, so all the fears came up. Oh gosh, I'm going to fall on my face. They're going to laugh at me, and all these fears that we all have. And then you said, forget that. I'm worth it. I'm like, that is amazing. And how can we do that more? How can more women do that? What do you think that ticket is? What's the key to changing or not following those negative thoughts and then just saying, hey, I'm worth it? Where does that come from in you?
I think it's just putting things in perspective.
Okay.
Having cancer is hard. Like what Sandra was saying, that's tough. Mm-hmm. Like that's something that is life-changing and it affects everyone everyone in close proximity. Mm-hmm. Me getting to be on television to do something I would have never thought would even be possible. That's a good thing. Like that's what I looked at. Like that's a good thing. Right. Did it happen in terms of was I late? And you know what? I could have let that overcome, but I did not want to look like a fool in front of people. And we have people in our lives that are looking for us to fail. Like let's face it.
Yeah. Things
happen to us. They don't want us to succeed. And I was no way going to let those people say, did you see Eve on TV? She sucked.
Right.
And that was like not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not on my at that point.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that you said that. Today I found an inspirational quote that said, self-care is also not arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And I loved that because I thought it just reminded me that there are people that are trying, they're waiting for you to fail, or they are not wanting you to succeed, or they will never understand you. Or Brene Brown, if you guys all know Brene Brown, she says it in her Netflix special. There are people in the cheap seats throwing stuff at you, and we have to learn to step over what they're throwing at us, just not even pick it up. And I love that you just didn't even give those negative thoughts the time of day, and you went for it. So you guys are so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Eva and Sandra. Is there anything else you guys wanted to share or leave with the Sure Babe audience of like confidence, or how you found it, or how maybe they can find some confidence in themselves as women?
Well, I think too, as we age, I think there's a sense of confidence as you get older. Like I said, I'm over 40. Mm-hmm. My kids are older now. I've made time for myself, and looking and like putting on the right shoes and putting an outfit together and doing my hair. It's important to me. Like it really was. And as you age, things change, hormones change. And when my hair stopped growing and I didn't get the length I wanted, like it's even those things like, I took Viviscal. I'm taking it right now because those are important to me. It's not a crazy cost. It works, it's effective. It's for me, and that's okay. And if that's what makes you happy, ladies, do it. Because that's another thing. We judge women. We want women to be beautiful. We want women to look great. We want them to look extra pretty. But then when we do certain things, or they do certain things for themselves, we judge them on it. And that's what also I'd like to stop happening. Like, so what, you want to wear red lipstick to the grocery store? Good for you. So what, I want to take Viviscal and grow my hair long? Good for me. Like, I think that's another thing we have to teach women. Like, beauty should be accepted, and as long as we're not hurting anybody else as an issue, we should celebrate the fact that we want to look nice for ourselves.
Amen. Gosh, when you were saying that at the dinner, I was like amening. I was like, yes, like thank you. was like, it's so time to stop judging women for their own individual journeys of how they are finding self-acceptance and worth, and just do your thing. You know, people say that, like, you do you, I do me. And I'm like, we are all different. And for a long time, I can tell you that I didn't, like, I ignored a part of myself because I thought it wasn't, like, smart. When you said you can be smart and like fashion at the same time. And I'm like, yes. And there was a part of me that was like, I'm this creative type person, but yet I can't say that I like fashion, or I can't say that I'm a blogger because I am technically a licensed therapist. And it's been a couple years now where I'm like, nope, I am now owning who I am. I'm owning my story. I'm owning what I like. And I am now saying I'm a multi-hyphenated person. That's what I do. I'm a therapist. I'm a coach. I'm a blogger. I'm an influencer. I love fashion, all of these things. And I think it's time that we as women give each other permission to do the same. Just really own who you are. And if you love red lipstick, wearing that to the grocery store, then you do that. And you do it because you love yourself. And so thank you so much, Eva, for giving the women that are listening now that permission. I think it's so freeing.
You're welcome. It was a treat to do it.
Yes. Oh, gosh. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the Sure Babe podcast. I know that the more we share our stories individually of being women and finding confidence and owning our story, that gives someone else the permission to do the same. So thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. I'm going to go before Sandra.
Yeah.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you feel encouraged after listening to Eva and Sandra tell their stories of confidence. And maybe it helped you a little bit more on your path to acceptance of yourself and your story and loving who you are. I'm pretty sure you probably all are Googling Viviscal and Toppik because they are truly amazing products that have helped my hair along with Eva and Sandra. So I wanted to let you know where you can find them. In Canada, you can find them at Shoppers Drug Mart, or you can go directly to their website, viviscal.ca and toppikcanada.ca, and that's spelled Viviscal.ca, and Toppik Canada is spelled TOPPIKCANADA.ca. If you are in the US and you go to either of those websites, it will direct you directly to the US website. So have no fear, my amazing American listeners. It will direct you right to the website where you can buy their products. And if you use the promo code CONFIDENCE, you will get 10% off your next Viviscal order. And best of all, we are giving away $1,000 prize pack of all of these products. So check for the link in the description of this podcast, as well as on Instagram. I'll be sharing it in my stories at Chrissy J. Powers to enter that contest. You do not want to miss it. It ends June 26th, so don't miss out. Thank you guys so much again for being here. I hope you own who you are. I hope you love who you are. And I hope you really, truly are living the life that you want to live. Have an amazing day.